All right.
My wife is going to kill me if I don't get back.
Last session of the day, the Monsters Den crew. We're missing Dan Brown, but I know he's busy getting shit. Yeah, so he'll get here. Of course, Davey Gallagher's in Scotland, so we don't have him today. But let me introduce Mr. Chris Allo, the king himself, Craig Kaminsky, Jamie Laszlo. So our topic for today is I asked the guys to pick out their 3 favorite horror, sci-fi, fantasy franchises and rank them in their order of their preference, right? So, yeah, you gotta rank it, Jamie. Okay. I won't start with you then, because apparently you're not right. So we'll start with Chris. Sure. So you're number 3, you're number 2, and you're number 1.
Okay. All right, thank you. This topic took about 30 seconds because Pete, myself, and the mighty Rich Catino did this topic 2 years ago on Monsters Den, and I famously did a mathematical equation to figure out how to rank franchises against each other. Because I was like, well, how do you rank the Godzilla films, which is 25 films, against a franchise that only has 4 or 5 movies? So I found a website that did it because they took ratings from something called Metacritic, which I'd never heard of. And I was like, oh, okay. So I didn't use Metacritic. I used my own, off the top of my head, ratings and ranked them together and did the mathematical averages. So this was the first time I spent a lot of time doing math. Never again. So mathematically, my number 3 franchise was the Jaws franchise. Yeah. It came out a 4.0 out of 5 because of the 4 movies. Jaws 2 is my least favorite, but it's still really pretty good. It's almost like a slasher movie, but with a giant shark. So I really like that one. Mm-hmm. Number 2, in 12 movies in the franchise, and when I did the math, it averaged out to be a 4.08 out of a perfect score of 5. And this whole process was kind of an eye-opener to me because I was like, wow, I guess I like this franchise more than shit like Star Wars or Planet of the Apes, but those movies have a lot of shitters in them. So my number 2 with 12 movies was the Friday the 13th series. Wow. I love those movies. They're what's the term with food?
Junk food.
Comfort food.
Junk food.
Comfort food. I should go because I'm a fat fuck. But comfort food. It's nice watching Jason kill all these sexy teenagers. So it never gets old. And my number 1 favorite franchise, which I guess I should have been surprised, but wasn't, with the mathematical equation came out to a 4.33 out of 5. I think I did 15 or 16 film franchises. And this was the highest ranking, was the 9 films in the Hammer Dracula series. Oh, wow. My name is Christopher Lee. Lee is my middle name.
Wow.
So from fucking birth, I grew up on watching Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing Dracula films. And I remember being 6 years old and going to see Star Wars. The only guy I recognized was Peter Cushing. And I just love the Dracula series. To me, Horror of Dracula is one of the greatest, it's the greatest Dracula film of all time. And even stuff that Davey hates, like Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires.
I love that.
Which is, it's complete and utter trash, but I fucking love that movie. And we did it. We saw it on the big screen just a month ago. Yeah. So that's my, I guess, my number 1 favorite horror franchise ever, the Hammer Dracula films. So that's my 3.
My 3, my 3rd, I went with the Godzilla franchise because they're, even as when you're a little kid and you watch those, there's something that captivates you when you're watching just these giant, even though it's cheesy and corny, but you watch these giant monsters going at it, and it's a lot of fun. And then as an adult, even if there's movies that you don't like, you can fast forward to the fight scene.
Yeah.
And you still kind of enjoy those all the way up from 70 years worth of movies. When you think about it, wow, from the first Godzilla movie in '54 up through Godzilla -1, which is gorgeously done, and even won Academy Awards. So weird and mind-boggling to think that a Godzilla movie would be an Academy Award-winning movie. Wow. So I went with the Godzilla franchise. My second, to mirror what Chris said, I also went with the Jaws franchise because of those 4 movies. They're all enjoyable. Obviously, number 1 is easily the best, but you can get lots of fun out of all out of part 2, 3D, and The Revenge. All of them just bring you lots of fun and joy. My favorite, I went with the Lord of the Rings, the original 3. Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, Return of the King. Not the Hobbit movies, I don't particularly like those. But the Lord of the Rings movies, all super long, but still engaging, and with the special effects just gorgeously done. And if you watch them in the home theater, just booming, coming to life with elephants, elves, dwarves, and just ladder fighting and everything. Just lots of fun. Still have a lot of great memories of watching those on the big screen for the first time. So my overall pick is Lord of the Rings, the original.
All right, I'll be fast because I'm hungry and I'm thirsty. All right, number 3, Evil Dead. Love the Evil Dead movies. Love Ash vs. Evil Dead. Is it Evil Dead vs. Ash?
Ash vs. Evil Dead.
I love what is it, 2011, the remake around there. It's okay, but I like the last one, the remake, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I mean, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, top 10 movies, they got 2 spots. I'm going Star Trek next. I wasn't a big fan when I was a small kid. I thought it was boring. And then the 79 movie came out, and I saw it. I went, I told you that shit's boring. And then someone dragged me in like 86 to see Star Trek 4, and oh my God, I just loved it so much. I saw it the next day again. And then I went back and revisited the show, and then Next Generation is favorite or second favorite TV show of all time. Brave New World or Strange New Worlds that came out. I love that. Just breathing new life into the franchise. So much fun. Love Star Trek. I've seen every Next Generation episode at least 5 times. And number one has shit on me so much. What do you call that? Bukkake when someone shits on you? This franchise is performed.
That's something else.
Well, it's probably done that to me too. What is it? Like a blowjob where you're
Just
sitting on
stop
a
right
toilet or
there. Don't give yourself any keyword.
Anyway, it's like
go on YouTube here.
If I offend half of them, that's 4 people. So number 1 is Star Wars, because you got some stinker movies. There's some series that aren't that great. My God, those first 3 movies. You said it great one time. You said, how does your life change when you're 7 years old, when it barely even started? What happens is you go see fucking Star Wars and your life has changed. One day you're playing with big G.I. Joes and Lone Ranger dolls. The next day you're playing with Star Wars figures, and you never look back. Me though, they were always there. They were steady, constant. But Star Wars happened and it changed your life. Those 3 movies mean so much to me. 3 of the most important things in my life. And Mandalorian's great. The new one is Skeleton Crew isn't too bad. But I as many times as they perform bukkake on me, or whatever.
Stop.
It's just a word. I don't even know what it is. I still get a little excited when the new Star Wars project is announced. So, that's it.
There's a lot of franchises to choose from. I amassed like a fairly big list, and then I was like, there's so many films in some of these franchises that are just not good. Like I was thinking about like Halloween, like there's a lot of stinkers there. Even like Friday the 13th, I was like, there's a lot of stinkers there. Like, Hellraiser, there's a lot of stinkers there. Some of the child play movie, stinkers there. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go a little broader here. There is a franchise that kind of fits here that, even though a couple of films maybe aren't classics, I still kind of like them. I love the Alien franchise. I really do. The first two films are classics,
Yeah.
legendary. I like most of the other ones. The more recent one that came out was fun. It wasn't great, but it was okay. I just love those damn alien creatures. I love them.
Yeah.
It's just, I think that they're one of those franchises where even some of the somewhat mediocre films I still really enjoy a lot. So that's my number 3. My number 2, I'm going to echo Craig, Godzilla. I don't care if there's 50 films, 100 films. I love them all. Some of them are just awful, but they're so much fun. As Chris always says, sometimes trash is just great. Right? Except for that one with the little baby Godzilla. Just, yeah, something I Revenge, yeah. That was pretty terrible. But everything else, I can find a lot to love there. You know, quite frankly, I've been watching Godzilla films since like 1971. Most of my life, so yeah, I love Godzilla films. Nothing like big giant creatures rampaging around destroying shit. And if they're fighting each other, even better. But my number 1, and again, it's kind of broad, but I don't really care. Universal horror films.
Yeah.
Frankenstein, Dracula, Mummy, The Creature from the Black Lagoon. I don't care. I love them all. I grew up with those films. I still watch them all the time. And you know, from 1930 till about 54, 55, that like 25-year run for me. There's so many great movies in those years. I just love it to death. And they mean so much to me. I don't care if they're black and white. I don't care if they're old school. They have to be in black and white. They got to be in black and white. They're amazing. It's just they're timeless for me. So I'll always be watching them. So yeah, Aliens, Godzilla, and Universal.
Nice.
So we were talking about, was I supposed to be prepared for this?
Oh, God.
I've been shuffling through my jacket looking for my phone, and I keep mistaking it for my free complimentary Luffy CD. So that's the phone. No, it's not. Oh, great. All right, anyhow, yes. What am I supposed to talk about?
3 favorite franchises.
Franchises.
And I'm hungry.
Wow, I run down here, and then you want me to rush. Great. You know, all right, so my favorite, well, I'm going to go with Pete. And I'm based on my age, I love I grew up with Universal horror films on TV and all the horror show hosts. And they had a magical point in my life growing up. As far as modern franchises, gee whiz. Liberace put out a great trilogy of albums in the 50s. But no, that's music, so that's for another show, I guess. Other things I like. You mentioned Star Wars. I like Star Wars to some extent. We've gotten a little off the track lately with things. The last one is more like Goonies in outer space. That one?
Yeah, kind of like that.
I know. I'm pulling you out on this one. Yeah, all right. But my other favorites, I'd have to go. It's going to be great. I'm a big fan of, unless Chris has mentioned this, I know he probably does, George Romero. I was going to say,
Wow.
When I did the math.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me this forum, Chris. Thank you. I figured right away, it's like, that's how I got on Monsters Den. Like once during COVID, when I was an angry alcoholic thinking I was going to lose my business, and shit was not, I was going to die. I sat there and I told Chris, he says, yeah, Chris and I are doing a show about Dawn of the Dead. And I said, I want to be on that. and then the die is cast, and then you have to deal with me every fucking week now, or every 2 weeks. No, I'm a big fan of George Romero as a visionary. What he did with the zombie genre, took the zombie from a back burner boogeyman, when everybody's worried about werewolves, vampires, and all of a sudden George Romero, like, the zombie was always a kind of like, oh yeah, this is a zombie movie, white zombie, it's like this and this. And all of a sudden George Romero, he just changed the game. And the testament is not for me bragging about it, but the fact that he, in fact, created a genre that is still strong. It's kind of played out at this point. Every so often something will come out, and I'm a big zombie. I personally have over 200 zombie films in my collection.
Wow.
Why? I don't know, but I do. And he was a visionary, a great guy. I knew him through many things, not just conventions.
Wow.
And a guy that kind of like, in his own words, he wished he had joined the Directors Guild because it would have made more headway in his career. But he was such a rebel and such a radical in his own way But he stuck his ground. And, you say Night of the Living Dead or Dawn of the Dead. Who in this room cannot say we've never seen Dawn of the Dead? You know.
Is there anybody?
Come on. Be honest. It's okay.
Why would we be here?
At least for the 4:30 segment. Yes, I get it.
Okay.
Come on. We're not going to. We're not
much of a hard.
We're gonna work on it. We're gonna fix that.
I saw it when it came out.
What's that?
I saw it on the when it came out.
I saw it, once again, showing my age. It's all about showing my age here. I saw it Night of the Living Dead when it came out in '68, and it was kind of a mind-blowing situation, because not only are there like, what are zombies, but they're coming out, well, grandma's coming back, but she wants to eat your face.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of a whole new level. The last thing I'd like to say, I'm a big fan, regardless of its ups and downs. I've always been a fan of the Alien series. I even like Covenant. A lot of people like that. And I think the last one that came out, I thought it was a great homage. Because a lot of people like to pay homages to, previous things. And I thought the Romulus film that came out was actually very entertaining. And I go to the movies, as I told Chris many years ago, I said, I go to movies with low expectations. I don't expect to be changed. I'm not going to learn anything new. I just want to be there as an old thing from the 40s. It's one old film. It's called Escape to the Movies. Well, during World War II, people went to the movies to get away, or depression, to get away from the environment they were in. In World War II, as people were serving in combat, how are my kids, what are going to watch? And they were, of course, showing a lot of proactive, propaganda type of films. So it's escape to the movies. I always escape to the movies. Sometimes I'm let down. But I think the Alien series, it's something that started as a great film, which, not to get all technical, is greatly influenced by a film called It, the Terror from Outer Space. And even the writer of that, Dan O'Bannon has admitted that, yes, he watched it, he was inspired by it, and so forth and so on. But I think it's been entertaining, and Romulus came out like, here we go again. But I'm actually, in many respects, other than trying to figure out what the fuck is going on in that room, what was it? The big white guy that jumped off the Prometheus, he jumped off the Niagara Falls, right? That guy. I kind of embraced it, and as I look at it in retrospect, I'm saying, okay, it's part of the mythology, and it's a mythos, and it's a Canaan, and you tell a story. And I thought that what they did recently with Romulus was kind of refreshing, and it was interesting. So I have to say the Alien series. Don't get me wrong, I don't let loose. I'm looking forward to 28 years later, which kind of sucks when you're around for the first one, and now 28 years later looking for a second film. It's like, God, how much time? Huh?
That's the third.
The third film, right? 28 years later, it's like, God, like 28 divorces later or something. Something like that. You see these things, and I look forward and I enjoy it. And like I said, I go to movies low expectations. I want to be entertained. That's what it's all about. I'm not going to go watch a biography film and say, oh, I've learned something today about Thomas Jefferson. No, read a fucking book. Okay, please. Don't go see, yeah, great. Nick Nolte, love him. He's 48 hours. He's not Thomas Jefferson. But I enjoy that. But the thing is that I love horror, sci-fi, love Grindhouse. If you see some of my comments about things, I just thrive. I lived in the Grindhouse Center in New York City. One of the greatest double features of its own Grindhouse was Killer Clowns from Outer Space and Who's Harry Crumb. Okay, and that was like, I sat there, fucked out of my skull, and watched it. This was a moment that was up there. Just Picasso and Jackson Pollock decided to get together and make a painting. It was fantastic. But I love the sleaze, I love the grind. I love cinema in general, everybody knows about it. And when coming on the Monsters Den, what it's done aside from being bum rushing the stage like Public Enemy to do this thing, I've learned so much, and it's made me revisit things. Thanks to Chris, I have seen things, and I go, wow, I remember that from 40 years ago, and then it came on a video, and I go, wow, okay, and it makes me revisit things, and it's important, and I love turning Craig on. Anything that has a bikini in the title, I tell Craig about it.
And thanks to me, Dan saw Slithis and Malibu High.
So the Malibu High, which I try to torture Davey Gallagher about any time I can. My goal is to find a fucking insert poster and mail it to him, and please to show it on your back wall, because there is no bad film. And why I say there's no bad film is I'm a big fan of Ed Wood. Okay, and why do I like Ed Wood? And it's very much in my earlier speech today about we have a dream, we do something, and we come to an end zone. Whether it be this, Ed Wood did two things that most people dream about in this world. He went to Hollywood and he made movies. Not many people can lay that claim. And guess what? 50 years later, 60 years later, 70 years later, we're talking about Ed Wood. And that's the whole thing. It's all about, it's not reality. You get a brief respite from your life. Escape the movies, man. That's what it's all about. And that's my statement. Now I gotta get back to the restaurant. I'm surprised I made it.
I really appreciate your opinions on especially all the knowledge you have about a lot of the Universal stuff. When I turn my friends on to Monsters, my movie friends, I tell them there's this guy there. He'll tell you everything about the great old horror flicks.
Well, the thing about Peter, what Peter has done is give to somewhat, I don't know, mentally disabled people that like movies. It's given me an outlet to talk about it. Now, granted, and Chris can say this, people come back on the show and they leave comments like, what are they thinking? The last one was, I think I told Peter, I said, I'm looking at the last one, and lately, during COVID, it got ugly. This guy, Dan, what's he doing? And this Chris, Chris, why is he wearing a black t-shirt? Stupid shit, And all of a sudden, you sit there and you go, and so all of a sudden it was so funny, it was kind of refreshing, but I was kind of like, I felt like Jay and Silent Bob. There's these moments where it's like, where's this guy's address? I gotta go sit and beat the shit out of him. But the thing is, the one guy came with the last comment, but they were having a comment about the show you and I and Davey did.
Oh, that you haven't,
Yeah, I
corpses
have
in the-
bodies buried in my basement. We're amongst friends, okay? I do. Okay, but my biggest concern is how the fuck they found that out.
You give great insights about Lugosi and all those classics. It's great.
Growing up with my
Pretty great
grandparents,
stuff.
I watched these films, I absorbed them, I read them back, you read books, and I just loved it. They became my friends as an only child. So I learned to embrace them. So with that, I can thank you.
So he's our host for the rest of the evening.
Yes,
So over at the warehouse.
Come to the warehouse.
Have something to eat, something to drink. We got
Yep.
Rick's
See a Tranquility burger, right?
What's that?
See a Tranquility burger?
Jackie.
Let's make something up.
I know it.
And you got a shirt on your
Your name is Steve Respect. What?
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else?
Where's the Sea Tranquility?
There isn't.
Oh, the
I'll tell my guys when I get it.
You got a little
Go out.
Actually, to give away on.
Thank you all for tonight. This is great.
It might be windy. Get to the top, take a deep breath.
Near Cocoa Beach,
Right?
Merritt Island.
Warehouse on the corner.
Yeah,
You know where that is? It's the coast.
Okay, I spent on Daytona, right?
Yeah, that's north of where I live by about an hour.
Yeah, that's sort of like between
West Palm south. Right. So you're between St. Augustine and West Palm.
Oh, sure. Yeah, a little bit worse.
A lot of parties already there.
Yeah, yeah. We literally
We pay a lot of
I can
girls.
see out of one eye still.
house on A1A on the ocean side next to what used to be called Treasure Island.
Yeah.
It's been torn down.
Hey, good.
Treasure Island's been torn down. It's been torn down.
Yeah, it's been.
There was a little
Who mentioned Treasure Island to me today?
Are you kidding me? That's weird thing to say. I lived in a house next
Somebody
to it.
mentioned Treasure Island to me.
I lived in a little three-bedroom house.
Jack, did you mention Treasure Island to me? From Daytona?
You need help with that?
You mentioned Treasure Island? Treasure Island?
So let me just say something. So
Yeah, because
but after graduating, so when I graduated, Everybody's got a car. We're heading to Key West. And the car broke down in Daytona.
No, I didn't even mention Treasure Island. It wasn't Jack. Sorry.
Oh, no. Oh, look, Bill, just some more. So just the bottom line. Do you remember where Treasure Island was?
It's along,
A1A. Literally, who's the that's been both of them torn down. But again, we're just saying, how big a small world. Again, you lived in Daytona. And,
well, my parents, so they're in,
but it's crazy.
I know, it is.
Oceanside.
oh, that's, they're one of those gated communities close to 95.
West, yeah.
Yeah. No, they're in, like right on, it's not Deltona where they
No,
there's
Deltona,
which is west.
There's Daytona Shores, which
Daytona Shores is the nicest section.
Yeah. That's about an hour north.
I almost got into the crackhead up in the north.
There's a lot of shit that went on in This is
scary. Luckily, I was able to walk away.
Well, so we had someone out at 7 in the morning on Sunday morning. Get the fuck out of our house. Still our dogs. I mean, just
How long ago was this?
Well, I graduated in 87. So it was 87, 89, we were there 2 years. But anyways, right next to what was it?
Treasure Island.
Yeah.
Right.
No longer there.
This the guy that Dan Brown was just talking turned me on to this Red Room I'm staying at, and the guy Harold knows him, and he was talking about Trevor.
Okay, so there.
Because he was there. No, it wasn't. But I knew he was talking about he visited there when he was young. His Sure? Everybody walking over there or driving or what?
Well, I was walking, I guess
I'll walk with her. I'll walk over there. Cut my ass off. Because I drove.
You sure you know how far it is now? It's actually not that bad.
If you're confident on walking, it can't be that.
Computer.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, God.
He's the latest dude.
So are you going to play all this stuff?
What's that?
Are you going to play all this stuff or is it for archives?
I'll be